Men are weak. And when men are weak, the family falls apart, the community falls apart, the country go to hell in a handbasket. I have with me Robert Perkins. He's a YouTuber who talks about black issues, politics, and relationship. Robert, good morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. How did you get into, or why did you get into discussing politics, black issues, and relationships?
Well, I mean, I just feel that those things are pivotal, very important that people have the knowledge about politics and understand the issues that are taking place with people of color here in this country and across the entire world. I think that knowledge, having that knowledge and understanding the situation that we're in this country and across the world is very, very important for black people to, get in line and get on code so we can get some of these issues taken care of out here.
And why is it important?
Well, because I feel like if we don't know what's going on, we can't prepare for what's coming. Basically, history has repeated itself, generation after generation. Yeah. History has repeated itself, and we're not, the knowledge of the history and how to get through these issues that we have isn't something that has been on the forefront, and I'm just trying to bring that information to the forefront.
Give me an example of something that you're concerned about that might repeat itself and blacks need to be aware of.
Well, you can take something as very nationwide as these privatized prisons that have been locking up black people for decades for profit. This is a very huge issue, something that America is refusing to deal with, something that America is refusing to accept as a reality. And I think that bringing awareness to black people as to what's going on will give us a standing point, almost like the Colin Kaepernick of the NFL, just bringing that awareness up so that everyone understands the situation that black people are in, and black people in particular understand the situation that we're in this country.
And why are black people being locked up in these private jails or prisons?
Well, it's for profit. I mean, the black people have been locked up, disproportionately versus other races of people in this country since prisons even, were invented. So I think that in itself is an issue, something that America refuses to accept. I mean, we have the largest prison population in the entire world, but this is the land of the free. And I think that that's something that, the hypocrisy that goes on here in this country is something that everyone needs to be aware of.
Are black people doing anything to get locked up, or are they just being rounded up?
Of course, there would be things that would be deemed as criminal that black people are being locked up for. And one in particular is these nonviolent marijuana offenses. And you have in other states where white people are making millions of dollars off of marijuana, and you may have a black man doing 30 years for, just possession of marijuana in another state. And I think that is very, very problematic and very hypocritical in this country.
Is there a state where black men are getting locked up for 30 years for marijuana, possession of marijuana?
Well, I mean, they're doing a lot. They're doing hard time for nonviolent drug offenses. That's really the main thing here. Whether it be 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, it doesn't really matter how long it is. They're nonviolent drug offenses, whereas in other states, there are white-owned marijuana, whether it be, dispensaries that are making millions of dollars off the same thing that black men are being locked up for. And I think that's very unfair and very hypocritical in this country.
If black men were not breaking the law or with the marijuana, by possessing the marijuana, would they be going to jail?
Well, it depends on what type of cops you have. We have just last week, or maybe it was a week before last, the LAPD was caught planting drugs on a black man. So it just depends on where and who the black men or black people are dealing with, because cops have been setting black people up as well, as you should know. Historically, black people have been getting set up by cops. So it just depends on, what type of cop you're dealing with at that time.
So how about, so I don't know about that incident, but that could or could not be true, and it could be
It's
rare.
very,
But would most black people be going to jail if they did not break the law?
well, I think that black people would still find themselves in prison or in jails because laws will be created to criminalize black activity. You have just take the situation with Eric Gardner, who was selling CDs for God's sakes, and then he gets killed for that. So you have, black activity has been criminalized historically. At one point, there was against the law for black people to even drink out of a water fountain that had whites only on it. There will be laws put in place to criminalize black activity.
Well, Eric didn't go to jail for selling CDs. He went to jail for resisted arrest. He also went to jail for selling illegal cigarettes. So, but let me ask, would most black people be going to jail if they didn't break the law? Would most be going to jail?
Well, I think, again, like I said, this country will find a way to criminalize black and brown activity, or they'll over-police black and brown areas. Meanwhile, in the suburbs, a white person could, have a body in their trunk and no one's paying them any attention because they're too busy worried about who has weed and who's selling illegal cigarettes down in black neighborhoods.
And so would most black people be going to jail if they didn't break the law?
Again, the over-policing of black areas, it's not like black people are breaking the law more than anybody else. It's the fact that we have a very large police presence in black areas and always have. That's just a historical fact.
Well, the historical fact is that most black people are breaking the law more than any other race in America today. But let me ask once again for this. Would most black people be going to jail if they didn't break the law? Can you give me a yes or no on that?
Yes.
They would be going to jail?
They will find a way to imprison black people.
If they didn't break the law, most black people would still be going to jail.
Yes.
Amazing.
That's the way the system is set up. It's not really that amazing, actually.
And where's your proof that the system is set up that way?
Well, you can just look at the facts. I mean, again, why isn't there a police presence in the white neighborhoods where they have large numbers of serial killers and pedophiles and sexual crimes being committed by white Americans as well? But there is no large presence of police in these white areas. You have right now going on all of these executives in Hollywood sexually harassing all of these women. Well, that's because they haven't had a reason to even worry about being looked at, even when it comes to these types of crimes. Because again, the police are worried about a black man smoking some weed. I think that is very problematic.
And so once again, where's your proof that the system is set up that way, whereas most black people would be going to jail even if they didn't break the law? Where's your proof? When you're looking for what would be empirical proof, you just have to look at the way the system is set up and what the privatized prison complex is and how it makes its money. That's, to me, the proof should be there in the actuality that they make money. If the prisons are empty, there's no money being made, you see. So let me ask.
How can we have a system like that that's even set up, which should be the question, is how can that even be a thing here in America?
Let me ask, Robert, most white people have money, so when they do break the law, they can hire a private lawyer rather than going downtown to the courthouse and telling the judge that they're broke. And so they'll have to take on a lawyer, a court-appointed lawyer, and those lawyers have caseloads that are just out of the world. So my question, if most black people had money and when they broke the law, those who break the law, when they break the law, and can hire a private attorney, just as O.J. did with the Nicole Simpson situation, would blacks still be going to jail if they had a private attorney?
I think there would be more of a chance for blacks to not end up in prison if they had a private attorney. There's a better chance, but there's no true guarantee, because you just had a judge get locked up, a black woman judge who was reciting law as the white judge locked her up anyway. So it just depends on where you are and what situation you're in.
But the reality is that if these black people who are breaking the law had money and could afford an attorney, then the system would not, for the most part, put them in jail. Is that right?
I would say they would have a better chance.
So then why not encourage blacks to wait until they get money? You know, they earn a living, make some money before they break the law, so that way they can hire a private attorney rather than blaming the system for them going to jail. Why not teach them what to do to protect themselves from jail?
Well, Jesse,
we saw OJ do it.
I saw OJ do it. OJ was a millionaire. You're saying that black people should wait till they're millionaires?
No, just get some money to afford a lawyer.
Well, if you think about it, a lot of the crimes that are being committed by black people, and particularly when we're talking about drugs here, is to make that money. It's actually because there is a very serious lack of opportunity in the would-be hoods. That's if you can't. You're out there you're nickel and diming trying to make that money, trying to make that living, trying to feed your family. So a lot of times they can't come up in a situation where they're going to just have a nest egg of millions of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars a lot of times.
Robert, I asked about if black men or black people would be going to jail if they had money to afford a private attorney, and you agreed no, they probably wouldn't. And then you said just before the break that there is a lack of opportunities in the hood or in the black community. Am I right about that?
Yes, there is a lack of opportunity in black areas typically.
And why?
Well, I mean, that's the way the system has this thing set up. I mean, ghettos were created. Historically, we know this. They were created. You take all of the opportunity, all of the resources out of those areas, and people going to find other ways, criminal ways even, to make money. And that's across race. That doesn't really matter. You can go up to a trailer park. If the area is poor, those white people will be committing crimes. Anywhere where there is disenfranchisement, anywhere that there is a need to eat, a need to feed their family, a need to survive, there will be a higher criminal activity. And that's not just in black neighborhoods like a lot of people try to make it seem. But
you do admit that it is tougher for blacks to succeed financially in the hood because of the crime and drug dealing and other things that are happening, right?
Yes.
And who is the system that took out the opportunities? Who when you say the system, who are you referring to?
I'm referring to the American government. I mean, these areas, again, they were set up that way to where you'll have lack of businesses, lack of opportunity. And then by the time, even if a black man is to get a felony or any type of record, it's harder for him to even go out here and pursue any type of real, true employment. That's just how it is.
So you're saying that you say that the American government did it. So you're saying that the Black Caucus took out the opportunities from black people in the hood, and that's why they're out of control?
The Black Caucus? Why do you say the Black Caucus?
They are the American government.
You call the Black Caucus the American government?
Yeah, you have the Black Caucus are congressmen and women. They are governors and mayors around the country, and you're saying that they took the opportunities. They took the opportunities away from black hoods.
Well, there were times in history where we had areas that were flourishing, that were black.
No, Massey, are you saying that when you say the American government, you're referring to the Black Caucus?
I'm not referring to the Black Caucus, but if you want to throw the Black Caucus in there, because I don't believe the Black Caucus actually works for the benefit as to building business infrastructure for the black community. And every time the black community tries to build its own infrastructure, this society, this government has taken time out to destroy those areas. We have where we have Black Wall Street. Those areas were destroyed for no reason. There was no reason for those areas to be destroyed. But
how many years ago was that?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Black men in the hood were to take control of their own lives. If they wanted a family, get married, and husbands and wives raise their children in the right way to go. If black men started businesses in the hood, if they ran the drug dealers and the gang members out, and they raised their children and made opportunities, would there be opportunities then in the hood?
It would be more opportunities, but then you have to get to, well, how are they going to get the capital to start these businesses.
I know, but we'll get to that first. But if black men, if you as a man took over your family, you started a business, you raised your children in the right way to go, if drug dealers should come around and try to sell them drugs or gang members and you ran them off, your hood and your family would be better off, right?
Well, yes.
And would the system be able to take away the opportunities if you're in control of your own opportunities?
No, the system wouldn't be able to take it away upright. They could come in there and sabotage it, of course, just like the way the drugs even got into.
But would they be able to sabotage it if black men were in control? Men don't normally let that happen if they're in control. Would they be able to do it if the men were in control?
If the men were in control, there would be a better chance for us. But we have to understand how these guns and drugs even got to the black areas. You know, we ain't brought no.
But if the men were in control, would they be able to bring the guns and drugs in?
Again, the men were in control of our areas, but the guns and drugs were brought in anyway.
No, they were not. Let me ask this. If men were in control, would their children take the drugs or pick up the guns and kill each other?
Well, no, there'll be a much better chance that those things wouldn't happen.
So why not focus on restoring that than being a man and telling the white man that they're keeping you down? Why not act like a man by taking control and stop, bitching about white men, because it looked very weak for men to complain about white men. If white men can do it in their communities, black men should demonstrate that they can do it too, as they did prior to the civil rights movement. But the black men are sounding just like black women. They're just complaining about what the white man and the system is doing. Why not be a man?
Well, understand that my talking points aren't from a place where I'm crying about what the white man is doing.
But you're sounding just like the black women.
Well, you're not letting me finish. If you don't mind, can I finish the statement?
Of course. Go ahead.
Thank you. That's not my talking point. I do believe both things have to be brought to the forefront. I'm not going to say that it's, the white man's fault that black men are running around killing each other. I would never say that. I think that at any point, black men can decide, well, we don't want to kill each other. That's not something that we're going to do. That's not even a part of our community. We have codes. We have codes of conduct. So I'm able to look at both things, which doesn't seem like, that's something that, you do a lot. You look at one side of this thing, or even if someone was to bring up racism, then they're bitching about racism. Well, it's a reality. It's a reality. White supremacy is out here. It's real. So I can do both things. I think that there are things that black people can do if we have some type of pride in our people.
If you have men.
Areas.
If you have men.
Well, men instilling pride into the people, and people actually having pride in us having codes. I do believe
So why don't black men instill pride, quote unquote, into their people?
Well, that's something that I'm working on trying to figure that out myself, actually. That's actually one of the reasons. You asked me one of the reasons why I do this. Well, I'm trying to get to where we're instilling pride into our children. We're instilling pride into each other, and we're loving each other and worshiping each other the way they taught us to worship Jesus and love Jesus.
So you believe in Jesus?
No.
You don't believe in Jesus? Are you a Christian?
Not at all.
Are you Muslim?
Not at all. I'm no religious affiliation whatsoever.
Are you an atheist?
If you're gonna, if you have to put me in a box, most people would deem that I am an atheist. But I'd rather just be. I don't believe in lies and falsehoods.
Do you believe in God?
No.
Do you believe there is a God?
No.
Then would you consider, not me putting you in a box, would you consider yourself to be an atheist?
Well, I don't consider myself to be an atheist, but that's a term that people like to use. I don't use that terminology. If that's what you understand is what I am, then you can say that I'm an atheist if you must.
Where do you get your values from?
My values come from my heart. I mean, you don't need a religious set to teach you values. That should be something that naturally comes to you.
You said that you're dealing with both sides, family and racism, right? And that I'm not. When you give people excuses, let's say that you seem like you're a guy, you got your YouTube thing going there, And so it looks like you're doing your best. Is it best to just focus in life without excuses, or give people a reason, a way out by creating excuses?
Well, that's you classifying dealing with the reality of white supremacy and racism as an excuse. I mean, I don't look at it like that at all. It's a reality. You know, it is actually happening out here, that our people are targeted by this government and have been targeted by this government for decades. That's not an excuse. That's a reality. Now, again, I don't think
But which is best, to focus on yourself and life? And you deal with the issues of life, but is it better to live a life without excuses?
I don't think you're calling it an excuse. I don't look at racism and talking about racism and making sure that our people are knowledgeable about what's going on out here in the history. I don't think that's an excuse at all.
Is it better to live a life free of excuses or not?
What are you deeming an excuse? You're calling racism an excuse, white supremacy an excuse, and it's not. These are realities. Why would you call that an excuse?
Why not build your life as a black man or black people? Why don't you encourage them to build their lives so that it will be the white people complaining about black supremacists? Because the reason that you people are complaining about white people because you have not built your own life. So you're like the Palestinians with the Jews. You're sitting in the city of David, looking at the Jews, or looking at the white man in this case, who are working hard and not paying attention to you, and you're complaining about them rather than getting up and just doing yourself by taking your eyes.
Not paying any attention to black.
Hold on.
That's not true at all.
Well, they're trying to protect themselves from the blacks. I understand that. You're right about that. But let me ask. So, do you personally believe in excuses for yourself?
No.
Okay. Do you love white people?
No.
You do not love white people?
No.
And why not?
Well, I'm not going to love any group of people who haven't shown that they love me as a monolith. They haven't shown that they love me or my people, so it doesn't make any sense for me to love white people as a whole based on the fact that they exist.
What do they need to do to show you that they love you?
Oh, I don't really need
your people.
That's not important to me for them to show me that they love me. I don't need that. My life is fine without them showing me that they love me. I don't necessarily need that.
So, is loving someone because they love you, is that real love?
Well, it depends on how you look at love. Do you want love to be reciprocated, or do you want to be the abused woman in the relationship? It depends on how you look at it. I don't know how you look at it.
But how does Robert look at it? Is loving someone because they love you, is that real love?
For me, if I'm being called niggers, if I'm being murdered, if I'm being raped, if I'm being brutalized, if I'm being falsely imprisoned, if I'm going through all of this, then I can't look at the person that's doing all of this and say that they love me. I can't see that. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Loving someone only when they love you, is that real love?
No.
Okay. So do you love black people?
Yes, I love my people.
And why do you love black people?
Because black people have actually been here for me. Black people have actually given me the pride that I have. I got that from other black people, i.e. Malcolm X, some of the Stokely Carmichaels, the Black Panther Party. Those people instilled pride and values in me. It actually added something to my being. White people have not done that for me in any type of way.
Do black people love one another?
No, we do not love one another enough at all.
And why not? Why don't you people love one another?
Well, I think that comes down to us being taught to love white Jesus. I think it really barrels down to, if we'd have been taught to love each other as opposed to loving Jesus, I think we'd be much better off as a people. And that's one of my talking points on my channel. And we've been taught to worship each other instead of worship Jesus. I think we'd be much better off as a people.
Were you raised by your father and mother?
Yes, not in the same household, but my father was in my life.
Were you born out of wedlock?
Yes.
You were born out of wedlock. And do you love your father and mother?
Yes.
You do love your father and mother?
Yes.
Was it right that you were born out of wedlock?
Well, I don't look at it as right or wrong. I mean, had my father went AWOL and disappeared, then I'm sure I would have some resentment for him. But things didn't work out, and I was still able to have both parents in my life.
Which way is right and best? To be
There is
born
no-
under the umbrella of marriage so that the father and mother can be together, or to be born out of wedlock?
Well, I don't think there is a best per se, because you can have two-parent households and both of those parents be vicious. Both of those parents instill things on you, abuse you, neglect you, regardless of whether the parents are married or not. I think it's a matter of fathers being present.
Which is best, to have two parents in the home or not?
Having two parents in the home is best if those parents aren't, of course, if they aren't neglectful or abusive in any type of way.
Robert, what is a man?
A man to me is going to be, and of course, a biological man who, takes matters into his own hands, who provides for his family if he has one, and if not a family, provides some structure for his nucleus of his family, whether it be his mom or, his siblings, if he has those as well.
There are lots of sexual assault and harassment allegations happening right now. What do you think about all that?
Oh, I think that, these guys have been getting away with it for a very long time. So I think it's more of a shock to them that they're even being held accountable for what they're doing, for what they have been doing as far as sexually harassing these women. I think it's really a shock to them that they're even being held responsible, because a lot of these men are white men and they're not used to being held responsible for any type of sexual assault whatsoever.
You believe the women?
I mean, I can't say I believe them because I don't know them personally, but I do think that there's an alarming number of women. All of them can't be lying at the same time, in my opinion. So these guys are out.
Why can't they be lying at the same time?
That's because that's just not, to me, especially in the realm that we're dealing with, where we have powerful men who think they can do whatever they want. I mean, we have to understand that there's a mentality that comes with power.
Are there powerful women doing the same thing to men?
I haven't heard any cases of that.
Should these men come out and tell too?
Should they? Yeah, of course. Of course.
And so you believe? So I'm sorry. Do you believe what these women are saying about these men?
Well, again, I haven't really followed these women, so I don't know what their credibility is.
Do you believe it though?
Yeah, there's a lot of white men have been, sexually harassing women forever. I mean, that's not.
So you do believe it?
Yes, I do believe it because of the mentality.
And you believe it without proof, just because they said it, you believe it?
Yes, I do believe it because I know the mentality of white men in power it's been like that. So what's the difference now?
And so if some woman or women came out and accused you, and they stayed hidden behind the curtain, and they just made up these things on you and some 30 years ago, would that be fair to you?
It may not be fair, but if I'm guilty, then the
no.
truth,
Let's say you're not. You don't know if you're guilty. Let's say you're not guilty, but because they're hiding and there's no proof being given, would you want the public to deem you as being guilty just because they said it?
No, of course not.
Then why would you go along with this happening to other men?
Well, because again, there is a large number of, all of them can't be lying. I'm not saying some of them aren't lying. I'm saying that all of them can't be lying.
So if 30 women said it about you, if 30 women said it,
30 women come out here and say I done harassed them, which would never happen. It'd be impossible.
And would you want the public to say, well, 30 women said it about Robert Perkins, so it must be true. Would you want that to happen to you?
I wouldn't want that to happen, but ain't no way that 30 women going to put themselves anywhere with me in isolated situations where that would even be a possibility.
Why not?
When am I in a situation where I'm around 30 women?
You go to work every day. When you go to work,
right?
When you walk down the road, when you go to.
Ain't nobody, Jesse. Come on, you're making this a broad. Ain't nobody walking down the street and somebody's accusing them of sexual harassment. That's not happening.
What do you think?
These isolated incidents where these men are in positions where they're trying to either hire these women or they're at parties with these women, thinking they're powerful and can run around here doing whatever they want.
So now, Bill Cosby was accused. Did you believe it about Bill Cosby?
I believe Bill Cosby put himself in some real bad situations that he should not have been in, and particularly around white women.
Do you believe so? Do you believe he was guilty of the accusations?
I can't say that I believed it, but I didn't put it past him.
Oh, okay.
I don't know Bill Cosby. I'm not going to vouch for what he did, but I know he put himself in really bad situations that he shouldn't have been in at
So
all.
it's because of the hatred of white men that you're happy this is happening to them?
I'm not happy this is happening to them. You can't misquote me on
But
that. I
why?
said I believe it. I believe that these white. I'm
So
not.
is it because of your disdain for white people that you
No,
believe this about the white men?
no. I
No.
didn't, but I didn't say that I didn't believe it about the black men as well that have been in situations like this. I never said I believed Bill Cosby or anything like that. So
I
you can't make it black and white.
I have a biblical question. Can I ask you to respond to my biblical question?
Yeah, depends on. I mean, if I can, yeah.
My biblical question, and I put it out once a week, different ones. Do women drive men to cheat?
Do women drive men to cheat? And if you're taking that biblically, then cheating isn't even a thing in the Bible. Adultery is, because cheating isn't a thing. That's something that we all made up here in this society. Cheating isn't real. Boyfriend-girlfriend relationships have no religious context in any kind. You were married. So adultery is real. Cheating isn't even a real thing. And I think men aren't supposed to be I don't think people are supposed to be monogamous anyway. So I can't even, look at cheating as a real thing.
Do men drive women to? I mean, do women drive men to cheat?
I mean, men are going to do what they're going to do regardless. We know this. So I can't say that women are driving men to cheat, just so well as I can't say men are driving women to cheat.
Do women drive men to cheat?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I said no.
No, you didn't.
I did say no. I said no.
I asked you where you were going. You tell me where you've been.
Like, no. I don't think that women drive men to cheat.
Robert, do you date?
I mean, yeah, I guess.
And when you're dating one woman, do you normally date more than one at a time?
Yeah.
And so, are they aware that you're dating more than one?
Yeah.
And so, this woman wanted to know, how many women do you have now?
Wow. I don't have any.
Are you dating now?
If you call it, I don't know what you're deeming as dating, but yeah, I don't know. A couple.
Relationship. So, are you in a relationship with more than one woman?
I'm not in a relationship with any women.
But when you are you in more than one woman at a time?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of Brother Polite?
I have.
Are
Yes,
you related? Are you related to him? You look like him.
No, I'm not related to him. I don't look like him at all. No. I know that he has multiple wives, though. I do know that.
Yeah, I interviewed him on the Fallen States. Let me go quick. Realist, thanks for holding. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I want to commend your guest for telling the truth about the Black Caucus that really did anything to help their own community. You look at the Black Caucuses in their district, all of them pretty much look like slums. And
Yeah.
I know you're trying real hard, Jesse, but, forget about it. The guy got so many contradictions. He just did not tell the truth. Don't give straight answers, and it's kind of hard to follow him. But my question to him is, how did he feel about Denzel Washington saying to the black folks, stop blaming the jail system?
How do you feel about Denzel Washington telling black people stop blaming the prison system, and it's due to the lack of fathers and not prisons?
Well, I think Denzel has a point, but again, I think that you have to look at everything as a whole. I mean, it's still a disproportionate amount of black men in prison. I do think Denzel has a point, though, but I don't think he dealt with the entire scope of what actually is going on here in America.
And the reason is, that blacks commit disproportionate amount of crime, right?
Well, that based on what? Because white people
on the Department of Justice, on all the stats, the FBI, all the stats are showing that. Even when the fallen Messiah was in the White House. Thank you, Willis. Thank you, Robert. That was fun. You had fun?
Yeah, it was cool, man.
Thank you, Robert.